What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It is Saturday. Today's topic, what's your legacy? Let's talk about it. As always, I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your likes, your views, your shares, and just being part of this journey with me. It means a lot to me. I know I say it on every video, but it really does. Sometimes when we put stuff out there, you don't know if anybody's going to watch it or if it's going to hit anybody's ears or they're going to be like, dang, that clicked with me. And some of the stuff might not, you know what I'm saying? But thank you for being part of this and just dealing with me on a daily basis. As you can see in the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about legacies. And it makes you think, you know? It makes you think, how are people going to remember you? How are people going to remember me? It's pretty macabre, you know? I mean, what if you were to pass away tomorrow? What will people say about you? And you have to be real. You can't be like, oh, they love me. I'm the best man. I'm better than butter on bread. That's not always the case. I'm speaking about myself. Like I said, all these videos are for me first. I talk to myself, and then if it resonates with somebody else, then perfect. If it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't. I don't know if anybody else has thought about this or if I'm the only one on this planet that's that macabre to imagine something like this, but sometimes I think, I wonder what my funeral will be like. I wonder how many people will be in attendance. If you hear rain dropping right now, it's because it's raining outside. It's raining pretty bad. But back to my question, you know, I would hope that list would be pretty big. I would hope that I left a good impression on people. I would hope that I touched someone's hearts, and I hope that I made a difference in people's lives. I wouldn't want to see my kids crying though. But I don't think I'm the only one that's thought that. I would hope that at my funeral, someone walks up and you know, when they ask that question, anybody want to say anything about somebody? I would hope that it would, you know, you don't hear the crickets outside. You know what I mean? I would hope that the people would be like fighting each other to get up there and just say something. I know it's weird. I would hate to sit there, you know, as a ghost, my ghost body, whatever. I don't know whatever I'm going to be. I might come back as a dog, who knows, or a monkey. But I would want to sit there and listen to these people talk. Now, if it was a whole bunch of people just coming up there and saying that guy was the biggest POS on the planet, yeah, I would probably just jump back in the casket and just chuck dirt on me, throw me out. But it's a good question to ask yourself. If your name gets brought up with some other people, how do you think they're going to talk about you? Well, they say, hey, you know what? I got on the phone. Someone was coming up. These people charged me up. I got on there. William actually called me before I even picked up the phone. Or if someone steps up to you, to one of your friends, are you the first one that's in line? Are you out there with your chest puffed saying, hey, I got you, bro? You ain't going to touch this. This is my friend. This is my brother. Are you the person that someone gets on the phone and says, hey, you know what, I need your advice. What do you think about this? I know that when I was younger, my legacy wasn't all, I mean, it was probably garbage. I'll tell you a story. So I went back, like I said, I grew up in San Antonio. I grew up in a barrio there. And when I left San Antonio, I swore I was never going to come back. Because what happens is when you get into trouble like that, when you burn bridges, or not necessarily burn bridges, but when you get in fights with people and stuff like that, you're always with your guard up. You don't know if those people are going to come back, karma, you don't know if they're going to come back and swing on you when you're not looking, or come back with something that they're going to take you out with. You might have been over with that fight or whatever the case is and walked away and forgot about it. But some of those things, the worst moments in your life are the ones that stick in your mind the most. Even more so than beautiful memories. It's weird. Someone could say something nice to you and you'd be like, oh, thank you. Someone says something mean to you or puts a post or whatever the case is, man, those words just linger and linger and linger and into this little fire, and you just can't stop thinking about that. And then when you see them, you're like, it's time to dance. So after I got out of the Marine Corps, I stayed in California. I didn't go back to San Antonio. I stayed in California and I just didn't want anything to do with the people back there. I got kicked out of 3 districts. I started in the west side of San Antonio, then I went to the south side, and then I eventually graduated from the north side. All those different sides were different types of, whether it be economical, different living standards, and it was different race. I mean, that was a different time. We're talking about late 80s, early 90s. Everybody kind of stuck on their own. And of course, as you know, I'm half, so I already stood out, you know what I mean? Like, that one game where like, what item does not fit in this picture? Imagine, like, if you saw my elementary school photo, I'm gonna probably pop it up here so you can see it. It's all brown. And then there was this little white little kid in there. And I was the one that stood out. Anyways, so going back to that time, I was fighting constantly. In the barrio I was at, I was fighting the Mexicans. And then when I got kicked out of that district, they sent me to another district, and I was fighting the white kids. That was in the north side. The north side was the richer side of San Antonio at that time. Now it's all kind of big mixing pot. But when I grew up there, that was where people had money, And here you got this little kid from the west side being bussed in to the north side. It was a big difference, you know what I mean? I came in with Jordache jeans, Payless shoes. I didn't have the money for expensive name tags or brands. They're walking around with Jabots and Guess and those Red Wings. I was lucky that my shoes stayed on. So when I hit there, a lot of people came at me. And we would squab, we would fight and this and that. I mean, I lasted in one school, it was in the east side of San Antonio. I don't even know why they transferred me there. And I told the principal, I'm like, hey, look, you know what? I don't fit in here. It was an all black school. I got nothing against anybody. Being mixed, you really can't. But I stood out, you know what I mean? And at that time, there was a bunch of gangs. You had Crips, you had Bloods, you had the West Side Kings, you had Suicidal Locos, you had Raiders. I mean, it was just straight up trash everywhere. So here I am. These kids already knew I wasn't, I stood out. And I lasted 45 minutes. After, they swarmed on me, I went back to the principal. I'm like, can you sign this? Get me transferred, please. Signed it and I was gone. So at that time, I'm thinking I'm leaving a good legacy, and I really wasn't. I was just a stupid kid fighting everybody. I had something to prove to people. I had something to prove to the white people because they didn't accept me because I was half Mexican. And I had to prove to the Mexicans that I was brown enough to hang out with them. It was hard. You hear that thunder? That was perfect time, like boom, it was hard. Anyways, so after I left California, I went back to Fort Worth, or here, and I moved, I married my wife, and we had our kids. And then I decided, hey, I'm gonna go visit my parents. And I went to HEB, and I was there with my kid, one of my daughters, and we're paying, and I see this guy coming in, because I'm already alert, I'm already seeing people, when you go back to a barrio that you haven't been to in a long time, like I said, you don't know if anybody's gonna come at you. The scariest part is you don't know what those people look like now. 10, 15 years down the road, you don't know what they look like. So everybody is naturally, you're put on guard. You don't know if they're gonna come and just shank you right there. So there I am, I'm paying, and this guy comes up, and out of the blue, he looked like he just came out of the federal pen. He's got tattoos all over him too, and he looked like he just took some hits or whatever. He's like, hey, you're weto, huh? Like, no, brother, you got the wrong guy. I turned my white side on. I got a white side, and then I got a brown side. So I turned the white side on. I was like, excuse me? How can I help you? But like, I know you. I'm trying to look at this guy, and he's just swaying back and forth. He goes, I know you. He goes, you're Wedo, huh? Your brother's Adam. You grew up over in the west side. I'm already starting to clinch. I'm ready for whatever's gonna come. And he's like, man, I remember you. You crazy. I don't know what happened to you. I thought you went to the pen with Juan and these other guys that I used to hang out with. Because all my friends there went to the pen. They were shipped off. They shipped me, luckily at the time, to the Marine Corps. And I'll share more stories of that because I was part of that last platoon that the Marine Corps accepted instead of going into prison. They either said, hey, you can do 4 years here, or, they'll take you over there with the big boys. So I jumped on that. Anyways, so back to this guy. He's like, I remember you crazy. You and your brother, you guys fought everybody. Everybody's been talking about you. Everybody was like, where you been? Where you this and that? Where you this? And I'm moving my daughter. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. He's like, you don't remember me? At that time, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm looking at him up and down. I don't even remember this guy. What he looks like now, I don't know what he looked back then, but he just didn't stand out to me. I stand out to a lot of people because, well, especially there, because I was the whitest kid, in a sea of brown, even though I was half, whatever the case is. So he's like, I know you. You don't remember me. He's like, we should hang out. I'm like, no, I don't know you. I don't know you like, oh, see, there goes thunder again. So he asked me again. He's like, you don't remember me? I'm like, yeah, I remember you. That lie, you know what I mean? I don't know this guy from somebody else. So I grabbed my girl, paid, and he's like, hey, let me get your number. So I give him a fake number. I started chucking it to the car. I just want to get my daughter out of there. I was already ready for whatever is coming. But I got my daughter in the car, and we drove, and I just drove silent. My daughter, she didn't realize anything. She's like, hey, Dad, who is that? Was that your friend? Did you grow up with him? Tell me about him. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, he's a guy. In my head, I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I don't know who he is. And now, later in life, I don't want to be remembered by that. I don't want nothing to do with what I was. That's why I stayed here in Upper Texas, because I wanted to get away from all that. That's not the legacy I want to leave. It's funny, when I went to those other schools and I saw people with money and stuff like that, I was thinking, hey, you know what? I guess that's the legacy. That's the dream, have money and dress nice and stuff like that, not wear Payless or Jordache. I never knew any other kids that wore Jordache, especially boys. But my parents gave me everything they could give me. And I'm appreciative of that because it's created that sense of, I appreciate everything, even the small things, because I work for it. But back to what I was saying, when you think of legacy, it's not about money. It's not about what you do. It's not about your business. It's not about any kind of titles you got. That stuff goes out the door. It's all about what people remember of you, what people think of you, what people know of you. Granted, you're not going to have all the fans. There's going to be critics out there. There's going to be those jokers that just love to, bump them gums. Those aren't the ones that are important. The ones, you hear that? That was loud. The ones that are important are your families and your close friends. I read a story the other day. The guy that made dynamite, the most explosive thing that ever hit the planet, you know what I mean? Whether they used it to carve out roads out of big old mountains, or they use it in war. Dynamite is still being used, The guy that made dynamite didn't want to leave that legacy. He didn't want to be known for dynamite. He didn't want to be known for death and destruction. He wanted to be known for peace. He wanted to be known something different. So he created the Nobel Prize. The guy that made dynamite creates the Nobel Prize. That shows the power of how life can change you. When you're finally faced with the reality that you don't want to be known for your past, you don't want to be known for what you've done wrong, you want to be known for what you're doing right and the change of inside of you. Colgate and all them people, all that money it doesn't mean anything. They wanted to help people. So that's my message. Woo, wait! You hear that one? That one was a good one. I should have paused for a second, let that thunder hit, and then say something. Be all climatic, and be like, oh my God, I just said something powerful. Let me readjust again. So like I was saying, what kind of legacy are you leaving your people, your family? I hope it's a good one. So, whatever you do in life, ask that question to yourself on a daily. What kind of legacy am I leaving people? What are they going to remember me for? The good thing about all of this, everything, is you can make changes. You can change the whole course of your life. It doesn't matter how we start it. It matters how we finish it. It matters what we leave. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be an inventor of anything because none of that matters. You just got to be the best person you can be for everybody that you love. No thunder. That would have been perfect right there though. So thank you for your time as always. Thank you for being part of this journey. And if this resonates with you, drop a comment, let me know. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening and we'll see you tomorrow. Deuces.